Hey Wyatt. It's good
Hey,
to
how are
see
you
you.
doing?
Good. I was interesting. I was thinking about this earlier, so wanted to kind of tee up for the viewers. I found it interesting that when we met in a networking capacity and our first meeting was just sharing our thoughts and POVs on live shopping. And I thought, who better to talk with than as authentically as possible. I mean, this is how our friendship started. So,
Mhm.
but that said, right, when we first met, you were actually leading live shopping over at BuzzFeed.
Mhm.
And I'd love to talk, I'd love for you to talk about your experience there and how you were able to make headlines creating brand new product strategies for some pretty major retailers, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. So BuzzFeed was amazing. Like so happy I got to be on that journey and to kind of lead the foray into live shopping. And BuzzFeed was really, kind of a first mover for sure in the market. And how we got started was I led strategic partnerships over at BuzzFeed for our commerce division. So that's like working with Walmart, Amazon, those bigger retail clients. And so we first got started actually in the Amazon Live space. Amazon was one of our key partners, and they really pushed us to get started with live. And so ran that through my team, and we saw some really interesting first results. We were one of the top performers, I think actually the top performer in terms of views and engagement on the Amazon Live platform. So we did a 16-hour live stream for Prime Day. That was insane. That was like, it was
Wow.
so fun, but like, oh my gosh. And we did that during COVID. That was, yeah, that was a crazy day. But we really just kind of like went full in, and we had like a really small scrappy team, and we were just testing and learning. And so grateful for my former boss Neela Ali, who was very supportive of the initiative. She saw the power of live shopping, looking to Asia, and Amazon was a good partner for us to get started with. But obviously, working with those other major brands, it was kind of clear like it couldn't be the only solution. That's the cool thing about this space, is there is really so many different potential solutions out there. And we were like, okay, like, Walmart's not going to stream on Amazon Live. Like that
Right.
doesn't make much sense. So we have to have a go-to-market strategy to be able to support working with someone like Walmart. And so that's how we actually ended up starting our partnership with Bambuser. We looked at the different solutions, and Bambuser really is, they are the leading expert. Like we have the most advanced technology. We've been in the space the longest. We have the most amount of brands that are part of our platform. And for us, there was, a couple of key things that we really saw within the Bamboozle platform that we needed to be successful. And so for us, it was a clear decision when we were launching on BuzzFeed.com with live shopping. Bamboozle was that partner that we worked with in that space. And so when we launched in Q4 of last year, we completely sold out of our inventory. And we did a really cool activation with our Tasty brand and Walmart, a cooking class. We did some gift guide lives with Target. And we were able to really experiment and learn a lot of different things throughout that process. But for us, it was really about, finding those right partners that were willing to test and innovate in the space. And I think, both of those partners, Walmart and Target, have really been leaders within the live shopping space in terms of testing out new technology. And for us at BuzzFeed, we built a trusted audience. We have an expertise in shopping, and it really made so much sense for us to put that together and be able to create some really cool, engaging content that was shoppable. And so we're able to kind of get that rolling off the ground, and put together a compelling package for those brands to work with us. And then, now the sky's kind of the limit. And then I saw that live shopping chain moving, and I was like, wow, okay, the demand is there. Like we really, like, there was a lot of brands that we weren't able to work with because we just simply didn't have enough inventory. And for me, I was like, this space is just so cool. Like it really
Yeah.
shortens the conversion funnel. Like it already has a proven track record in Asia. Like these brands are all staffing up against it. There's a lot of investment going into the space. And I was like, I want to be in a place that I can help shape this market and to help grow kind of what we're doing at a higher level. So ended up joining Bamboozle over here as the head of publisher partnerships.
I was going to say, so now you're head of publisher
Yeah.
partners at Bambuser. And I know you talked about it, where Bambuser kind of fits in the live shopping ecosystem. How can, maybe if you wouldn't mind touching on, how can creators and brands work with the platform?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Bambuser is a completely white label solution. It is like, we provide the tech. Yeah, we've been in the space actually for the live streaming space since 2007. And then we pivoted in 2019 to live video shopping. And so we have a super sleek player that you can integrate. The integration's quite seamless. You get to customize the player, the look and feel of it, so it's on brand for you. And then we also are very, very flexible in terms of our technology. Our stance is we want to empower whoever we work with to shape their program as they see fit. And we want to be that solution within the market that, someone like, Samsung or Macy's or whoever like can work, and they can really make live shopping their own. I was listening to the conversation with Ulta, and just, that power of that on-site experience, that shopping experience is really where we come into play, right? Like we are that solution that makes it so much more seamless, right? We have like a dashboard. It's very easy to go live. It connects seamlessly to your social, which I think is really important. And we are platform agnostic. We want to, be the solution within the market to be able to be where, your audience is, and to be supporting you throughout your program. So yeah, we have our kind of white label solution. It's branded, it's your data, you own it. And then since 2019, we've really had a ton of success working with, a bunch of different brands. We have the most brands that have added our player in the market, and work with some of those top brands like Clarins, LVMH, QVC even works with us for their digital live streams, as well as Samsung, a whole host of others. And so we're really excited about where we're headed. Bambuser is also based in Stockholm, so our headquarters is out over there. So we have a global reach. We have offices in Tokyo. I'm in the New York office. We have offices in London, Paris as well. So we're really trying to build a global solution for these large enterprise level partners that know the power of live shopping, but they want to make it their own, and they want to own that platform themselves, versus give that to another platform, or they can work with that other platform.
Right. I think when we last spoke, we were talking about that type of strategy where if I'm a brand and, I'm in the era of IDFA and cookie deprecation and looming among us,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to enhance my first party data collection strategies, what's a great way to do that? Video player on the domain. So and driving all points back to the website, right, to be able to collect that data. So I think a lot of the themes that have been like interwoven throughout today's sessions have been about understanding your goal and figuring out the role that live shopping plays for your brand and your initiatives as you're thinking it through as like a function of larger initiatives. And I think that's interesting because, is it a lead? Is it, are you using it as an additional access point in your media mix to drive people to your site, to be introduced to your brand, to learn more? And if so, that's important to know. And it's nice to have that data readily accessible on your platform.
Yes, totally. And I think that's what we kind of see. We really see the value of, these, the brands that we work with, they're investing so much in making their on-site experience engaging, interactive, compelling. It's where their audience truly experiences their brand online. And live shopping is a part of that already, and is going to be more in the future. And so for us, we really focus on solving that, that's like providing that solution to our partners, is being able to have something that's really sleek, really easy to work with, really, really easy to integrate, but gives you complete ownership of what you're doing, right. And those brands that we're working with us are seeing a lot of success in terms of making that online experience even more interactive, even more compelling, and driving that kind of recurring behavior from their audience.
Exactly. And then the role of the social platforms, can it be simulcast as
Yes.
we
Yeah.
previously talked about, or sorry, I might be stealing your thunder for upcoming questions. But, thinking about ways, because social still plays such a fundamental role in traffic driving and conversion driving. And so how are you thinking about, sorry, this isn't a question for you, it's a rhetorical question. How are brands, right, thinking about not just how live shopping fits in, but okay, what are those access points, those digital touch points or phygital touch points, which I'm going to tee up my next question, that are driving people to the experience. And then how am I able to glean insights from the data that's being collected? So I think it's a whole ecosystem and worth a lot of thought on, it's not just a simple, okay, let's test this one time in the silo. No, it's more thinking about it holistically, how it's fitting into larger strategies. So when we were talking, one of Bamboozer's key points on the website is phygital. So can you explain what the term phygital means and why it's important?
Yeah, so phygital is the combination of the word physical and digital just like smashed together. And that's the concept that we're really trying to push. So, brands are investing a ton of dollars in terms of their on-site experience and also the retail experience. And a lot of times those end up being a bit more siloed, right? And for your end user, you're trying to reach the same end user with both of those experiences in a lot of cases. Sometimes it is a bit different, but you want to create that cohesive feeling brand. And so more and more where we see brands headed is, they're boring retail stores where you just like walk in, there's no interaction, like there's no chance to reconnect with the brand. It is kind of dying, like retail as it's been historically it's not the same. It is evolving and it is turning into something new. And where you see that evolution going is being able to combine those online experiences with those offline experiences. And brands are doing it in a lot of different innovative ways. But one of the ways that is really cool and has a ton of potential is within the live shopping space. We have retailers in EMEA that have built out dedicated store space within their retail locations for Bamboozle live streams, and to be able to showcase directly from their store their products. And they're seeing a ton of success being able to do that. And there's a ton of ways that it's like taking that amazing retail experience that you've invested a lot more and then providing it with so much more legs to be able to live online. And how we can start to activate that even more, and like how can we think about building in more of those kind of interaction touch points with that retail user or retail shopper. Like that's where we're really excited about, and there's like so much potential there, especially in the as you think about how things are starting to evolve, and how these retailers are looking to bring their experiences online, because that's where they're seeing their audience signal that they want to shop. But that doesn't mean that retail is gone. That doesn't mean that like interaction with that store person needs to go away. It really doesn't. It really shouldn't. And that's the cool thing about Bamboozle is we have our one-to-many product, right? Which is the ability to go live on your platform and then you can speak to everyone. It's like a video that can like be embedded within your brand website. But we also have our one-to-one product, right? Which is essentially a personalized shopper that you can call directly. And that person, we have a couple of retailers that are using it within their stores. So they literally have their like store agents accepting calls from their website. And then they're able to just walk around their store and show them the products in person. And like, it's like going so well, right? Because then you're taking that store person that you've trained to interact with that, to that shopper in person, and you're able to like repurpose that training and like turn that into online and then maximize like tenfold that exposure for that store agent. And so there's a lot of like really cool ways that you can start to bring that in-person experience to a digital environment. And that live interaction, that like human to human connection is really like, it's so powerful. Like we all know that it's, like you don't want to talk to a robot on the phone. You want to talk to a person, and if that person is there, like being able to tangibly interact with that product for you, being able to answer questions about like how it fits, how it flows, like what that, makeup looks like showcase. It really just brings a full embodied experience to an online world, which I think has a lot of power for the future.
I love that explanation, Wyatt, because I feel like it hits on not just doing live for the sake of doing live. And you can also apply that concept to any of the buzzwords of today, but not just doing live for the sake of doing live. But I love that explanation because it shows the value exchange, because that personal shopping experience, how great is that for a consumer who can't physically make it into the store, but still feels that they're getting a value because somebody is personally walking them around and showing them the fabric. And some people have, struggle with online shopping, myself included, because sizing is different for every single brand. And I think that's so interesting to say, hey, can you hold that up for me? Where does it fit? Is there a stretch? Is it not, and so that's, then it also, I'd imagine there's a ripple effect in terms of the reduction of returns.
Yes.
Because you're able to like have that virtual try-on experience, whether it's the personal shopping with the actual employee of the store or in AR trying it on, or having some virtual experience where you're able to get just a more tangible concept of how it'll fit.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't have the stat in front of me, but that is definitely something that we're seeing within the live shopping space is that just reduction in the returns, which is really powerful. You are meeting the shopper like where they're at, and you're answering their questions. And so they're not buying 3 different versions of the same thing because they don't have their question answered. And there's no way for them to see on your website, like, the actual experience that they're looking for. But when you're talking to that person, they have that product in front of them and they're showing you it, like, it makes it a lot more of a seamless experience for you as a shopper.
Absolutely. I love that. And so speaking of stats, because I think I read that one similar and I can't remember it either.
I know. Yeah.
I think there is a reduction in return rates.
Yeah.
I remember that. So shout out to the research company who did that. So where do you see, but now we talked about it, I think, we talked about it when we first met. And then I know that the sessions before us have touched on in terms of looking over to China and just how massive of an opportunity it is there, over like $400 billion in sales from live shopping and growing. Where do you see I'm just curious, your opinion, where you see the US growth trajectory over the next few years?
Yeah, we're seeing it, right? We're in the midst of it. Like, we're all feeling it. I think like that's why we're having the summit, because like it's here, it's happening. And I think people are just trying to like catch the wave, like they feel that momentum. And it's about like, how do we maneuver within this like very cool, very, very emergent space that is yet to be defined. But we do know some things, like there is an entire market out there that has cracked, $400 billion with a value, and they're doing, for one live, they're selling over $1.5 billion worth of lipstick. Like, that is beyond, right? Like, but it is very feasible, right? And like, the US and Western shopping experience looks a bit different. Like, there is going to be some nuance there, but we know just from the trajectory of this industry that it's going to grow exponentially over the next few years. It's supposed to be a $25 billion industry in the US by 2023. I believe that's from Coresight Research. And it's going to continue to grow after that. And, like we're seeing, and what I see from my perspective is brands are investing in this for the long term. They're starting to see the returns on it. They see the promise, and they're staffing up accordingly. Like they have started to build these, they call them different things at different places, but like social transformation teams, social commerce teams, even in some cases like directors of live shopping. And I really wouldn't be surprised if over the next few years, every brand that's serious in the space has a VP of live shopping and is actually thinking about their strategy holistically, because as people have hearkened on within this entire summit, it's not just one thing. It is a combination of what's the right distribution tactics, like which platforms make sense, like for us, how does this come to life on our owned and operated experiences, et cetera, et cetera. Like, what's the right mix between events versus evergreen content, like
Yeah.
all these questions, you do need to have your perspective as a brand, and that does take some work, right? That does take some real thought and leadership internally, and a champion to get that done. And so I think we already are starting to see it, like that emergence of people who are dedicating their time and efforts internally at these brands to live shopping. But that's definitely going to keep continuing. That's we are going to see more and more of these marketers like have live shopping as one of their main tools within their toolkit. And I think the reason is because the promise is there, like these brands have historically, but they've been investing in content. They are trying to create those amazing experiences for their end users, and to speak to their shoppers, like where they're at. And with live shopping, it is engaging content connected to commerce. Like content and commerce, like we've all heard that, but like this is actually the tool, right? Like this is content and commerce like on the same screen. And the power of that, and like what you can do with that in terms of shortening your purchase flow and conversion flow as a marketer is quite powerful. I don't think we've actually really gotten there yet, truthfully, like in terms of like a brand that has figured out how to go live, make those like super engaging, drive their audience to that live, and then repurpose that content in a way that like fully serves their like to shorten that purchase flow. But definitely something that I think is really ripe for disruption, right? Like taking this content and then being able to distribute it across the internet and make it really cool and engaging, and it's already connected to that commerce where there's not that extra jump of like, oh yeah, okay, cool, like there's a logo slap on this piece of content, but there's no action associated with it. Like this content actually has action, and how you operationalize that and start to push that out to your different marketing channels, like the power is like so there, and yeah, it is like quite exciting, and like it really does feel like we're swimming with that wave coming behind us.
Yeah, I think, well, when it was interesting. So for the viewers tuned in, if you don't follow Wyatt, please do, because he published some very insightful live shopping articles before even we started really talking about it. And I think one of the really interesting pieces was we had a long conversation around like the activation strategy, because to your point around distribution, I mean, the technology isn't quite the technology, I'm sorry, let me clarify, within like social platforms specifically, where the creators are likely, posting natively, isn't there yet. It's being built and it's evolving, but it's, there's so much more to go. And I think, Wyatt, to your point around thinking about distribution, where it's living, all of the digital extensions you're using to support. I loved your example with the retail spaces evolving to be more interactive and including live, and hiring employees that are have more qualifications around, selling like real time, and instead of, maybe just how they're doing it today. But I think that's so interesting because the evolution is clearly, we're seeing it already in some capacity, as you even said. I'm curious, how does Bambuzer educate and entice brands to launch live shopping on your platform?
Yeah, so I think what I love about Bambuzer and why I decided to join is like they are the experts in the space. Like the people that I work with, like they saw this coming and they decided to jump on this and to build out these programs, and then we're the ones going with the cameras to like H&M or whoever, like, and actually like setting up those first shows and figuring out, okay, what's the right distribution strategy, how do we make this successful, like all these different types of things. And so for us, like we built up such a wealth of knowledge by working with just the amount of brands that we have and the scale that we've been able to achieve so far. And so what we're really thinking about is how do we start to share that knowledge externally. So actually we just launched today Bamboozle Academy, which is an online training course for live shopping. So it's open to the public. We actually posted our first session today, so feel free to check that out. Can shoot over a link, but so like we actually were able to poach someone from who built the largest live shopping program in Europe to run that for us. And so yeah, her name's Cecilia Dement, and she's amazing, has so much expertise there. And now she's building these like classes and programs to be able to educate marketers on how to actually, like, how does that actually happen? How does it actually come to life? But then, yeah, definitely, like, I think in terms of us being able to give brands the confidence that we can help them throughout this process, like, as I start to work with these publishers, it is something new, like it's something that you have to, like, there is a lot of learning curve to it. It's not something that's like necessarily intuitive of how does this come to life. Like I when I first got started, I was overwhelmed by all the options, like, because there's so much that you can do, and there's so much emergent technology in this space. But I think for us, like, we're here to help people be successful within the live space, and that can look, from as little support to as much support as you need, whether that's like production, distribution advice, all these different types of things. Like, at Bambuzer, like, we are experts in live shopping, and like we are more than willing to share that with anyone and everyone, because we see the value of it. And I think as brands start to work with us, and as brands start to test out our platform, like they do see it. Like, they are seeing like the return on that investment in terms of viewing times on site. Like, we have within our network, it's around 12 minutes for view times on site, which is just, that's a crazy amount, right? Like, of actual on-site engagement that you can drive via live shopping. And the end user, the people that are watching these streams, they just really love it because it's such an authentic way to connect with a brand that they haven't been able to before, and that type of just authenticity, I think, has so much power, like, and so much potential. And as brands start to get started in the space, like, maybe you don't have all the answers. Like, maybe your distribution tactic kind of sucked, like, for the first one. That's okay. Like, we're here to like help coach and to kind of give you those tools to be successful for that next one. And it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, I think, like, think about your brand's first Instagram post. Like, was that a great Instagram post? Like, probably not. Like, did it get very many likes? Probably not. Like, but it's something new, and it's something that, like, the signals are there. Like, we know the audience, like, already has shown their interest in it. And there's so much more potential to be unlocked as brands get started. And I think that also is like really the exciting thing for me, is because this is such a new space, there's like so much innovation that I think we'll see over the next year, especially, that has yet to come. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to be first movers in different verticals. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to be a leader within live shopping as the space evolves. And I think the brands that get it, they get it, and they're really going full force into it. And it's so cool to see, because as those brands like drive that innovation, that's just going to give more learnings to everyone across the board. And that's kind of what I think is like really cool about Bamboozle and what we're doing, is like we have so much of that innovation happening on our platform. Like, people use our technology in ways that I didn't even see, like, and but just us having that higher level perspective of what's happening in this industry is really, I think, powerful, and something that we're super keen on sharing with the world as we start to get going even further.
So Wyatt, I wanted to touch on something you had said, because you had mentioned something around 12 minutes dwell time on the site. So thinking about it from a media lens, where what I'm passionate about, how exciting is that for brands? Again, rhetorical, but how exciting is it for brands to be driven, have traffic driven to their site, spending 12 minutes on it, and thinking about all the custom audiences you can craft from that to retarget, and all of that behavioral data that you now get because you drew people there and kept them engaged for a long time. That's really exciting.
And just like building off of that, I mean, like, what we're seeing in the space is these view times are higher for lives on average on the social platforms than they are for just like standard video. But I think like social is such a powerful channel to really amplify your voice and push out your narrative and reach your audience that exists on that. But that like deeper engagement, that like actual sitting there and like watching 12 minutes of a stream, it's going to happen on your platform, like, and I think that that's where Bambuser comes in and provides that technology solution to be able to make it just a seamless experience for that user as they're watching.
Agreed. What do you think? So I'm still thinking about when you mentioned the 16-hour live stream.
Yeah.
So you guys are clearly well on your way to your 10,000 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
of mastery of this. So of what you've done to date, Bambuser or not, but of what you've done, what are some of the do's and don'ts for live shopping?
Ooh, yeah, good question. Okay. So, I mean, I think honestly, do get started. Like you could talk forever about what the right strategy is. Like you can include all the internal stakeholders that you possibly could think of. Great to have input, but like at the end of the day, like you're really not going to learn until you actually do it, like, and it looks different per brand, right? Like your brand has developed an audience that's unique to yourself. Your brand has developed a voice that's unique to yourself. And so live shopping is not going to be just a one size fits all solution. There isn't going to be like, this mix of tactics that works for everyone. You got to test and learn. You got to like start and figure out like what works. And I think, the do in terms of like getting started, like also it doesn't have to be something that's overly produced, it can, and there's certainly a lot of value. We have a lot of luxury brands within our network, and their production value is just like beyond. And it makes sense, that it is like they're reaching that, shopper that is a luxury shopper, and they expect that production value as a part of it. But actually where we see the most success is just a person going live with their iPhone, like, and being able to speak authentically to the products, and to have that passion for the brand. And sometimes that's like, some people that you wouldn't actually always expect. Like it isn't necessarily that influencer that has, 500K followers on Instagram. Like sometimes it is that store associate that's just really funny, like, and really cares about the brand. And so, get started. I don't think it has to be overly planned. Like I think, testing out those different strategies, allowing for that flexibility is a definite do. Testing out that different types of talent in terms of who works is definitely a do. And then I think you really do need to think about your distribution plan, right? Like, don't expect to go live on your website and then people just tune in because you're live and you haven't told them that you're going live. Like you have to tell people that you're going live. Like,
Right.
And so, it's definitely a do, for sure. And then the other thing I will say is I think it is quite important to have an internal champion, to be able to really drive towards decisions within the space. I think live, touches across a lot of different teams internally as things sit today. And I think it is sometimes a challenge in terms of operationalizing these programs, because there is a good amount of stakeholders that do by necessity need to be involved, but where you can pull that together into someone that can champion this for your company is where you'll see, I think, the most success in terms of being able to make those clear decisions, being able to set out that clear strategy, and then to test and iterate based off of those things that you've done. And then some of those don'ts, like, I don't, success doesn't happen overnight. And so you have to give it some time. You have to create some consistency. You have to figure out what types of distribution and, that pre-show informing of your audience, like what works for your brand. So, allow it that space to work over time. And don't think that first one is going to be your most successful. It's like where you got started and then it's up from there. The other thing I would say is don't wait, because it's starting, like it is here, like your competitors are starting. So like, talk all you want about the right strategy, but like, don't wait too long because people are getting started, and like you want to be at the forefront of this, right? You want to be the one that's like leading for your industry. And so if you're watching this, then you're already obviously interested, and yeah, don't wait much longer because it's here, it's going, and you should be a part of it.
Does Bambuzer offer testing environments? So if going live, but without, in the background, without actually publishing it?
Yes. So we have the concept of test shows that you can create and be able to do that. Yeah, definitely test, especially if it's live. Definitely do that. Live is fun, sometimes scary. So if you can like make sure that you have all the ducks in a row, it's really great to just get everyone, who's going to be involved in the actual live, do a run through, like, let's see it working on the site in a closed environment, and then everyone feels good about their roles and all that stuff. But yes, definitely testing is key here. And the other thing, about Bambuser, which is cool, is like, we really do believe in live. Like, we believe in the power of live. We believe that it is the future. And the reason is because that authentic interaction that you can have with your audience that really no other format offers. But, for some people, like, it is sometimes a little bit too much of an ask for their brand to be live, like at the jump. And so we also offer pre-recorded as an option. So you can upload pre-recorded videos onto our platform, and it's not the same, right, in terms of that interaction with the audience, but that shoppability is still there. Like, that chat functionality is still there. It's a great, powerful way to get started as you start to test in this space, if that's something that's like a big concern for you.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to just crawl into it.
Yeah.
Without mitigating for the fear of diving right into the deep end.
Yeah, exactly.
Going live. So how should brands be thinking about data and privacy in this context?
Yeah, so that's something that we're hearing a lot from brands, is just there is a bit of concern, in terms of, like, as we've seen within the marketing industry, like, as new products like roll out, like, it sometimes feel like there's a lack of control over your data and your audience and how you're reaching them. And it's becoming more and more of a challenge, right? As these new Apple privacy roll out, as GDPR happens, as all these different potential regulations that are coming into the space. And so, like, for us, like, one of the beauties of working with Bambuser is just, like, we put data and privacy at the forefront. This is your data. This is your audience. Like, you own all of it. We were born in Europe, luckily, so we are, completely compliant across the board in any potential way you could possibly see. Like, there's really no question about whether or not this data is yours and you own it. And so I think that's quite powerful, right, as you think about this space. And again, I think the platforms that are out there, like, it is really great to be able to expose, to drive that audience back to your own environment. But it's a big ask to turn over your product API to someone like a big tech platform. Like, it's something that, like, a lot of brands aren't comfortable with for good reason. There is a bit of skepticism, I think, healthy skepticism, in terms of the motives and just the ability to own that data at the end of the day. And it is always better if you can look at your strategy and look at what you're doing and have that confidence that that data that you are providing is yours at the end of the day. And those insights that you are gaining are just for you, and they're not being sold to your competitor to be able to retarget those same people. And I think that over time is it's already at the top of marketers' minds, and especially for these emergent technologies, you don't want to turn over those keys to some external party that you don't know how they'll use them.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have that and measurement at the forefront of every conversation. And I think with GDPR and CCPA and then all of the other state regulations that have come out, I think it's brought more and more awareness around what questions to ask and what red flags to look for when you're inquiring about certain solutions or certain ways of working and the types of answers you get back from partners. So I think that's so important. I didn't mean to tee myself up for a plug, but but because we take this seriously, we all do. We published a data compliance playbook specifically with the context of influencers, because I think what's interesting from our point of view is that it's somebody's life, right? It's their livelihood. It's literally how these creators make money, is posting content on platforms. And so we've helped our brands and agency partners alike to we've equipped them with the education and hey, here's some good answers to get back when you're vetting partners, and hey, here's some like not so good answers, and you should probably ask a couple more questions about it. And I think we're all evolving and iterating with the laws and regulations that are coming out, but I love that, because I think because of all of the shifts, it has become more of a forefront of a conversation. And I always plug to start with measurement first in these conversations. And so what does success look like? At the end of this campaign, how are we deeming that this is successful or not? And what is that specific metric that we're looking to gain, or that specific lift, or whatever it is? I think that's so important and shouldn't be lost in the strategic conversations, because to your point earlier around whether it's your distribution channel and using it as a digital extension, all tides lift boats. Is that the phrase? But it's all working together to, lift the boat, if you will. So it's important to figure out, at the onset, what it is you're trying to measure and how you're going to measure it across all of your channels.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes there's a tendency, for good reason, to maybe want to reinvent that measurement for emerging technologies. They are, like, live shopping is different than other types of channels you could be using. But I would encourage people to think about, as they get started, those metrics in terms that they're already familiar with, and the people who are those internal stakeholders that they need their support are also familiar with. Don't try to necessarily reinvent the wheel at the jump. Like, you can use, especially for this space, some of those metrics that you're already familiar with to determine how successful these programs are.
Absolutely. Wyatt, I'm interested, have you seen any brands do it well so far? Have you seen any examples that you really like?
Of brands like with measurement?
Yeah, or with live shopping, doing it right.
Oh, yes. I mean, like, I think Samsung has been really fun to work with, truthfully. They're so innovative. Like, we did this partnership where, it was live on the Samsung site, and then we were able to actually stream that directly into ad units on key publishers that they work with, which I thought was really cool and something that we're interested in terms of, like, how do you get these lives into more places. But I think that and there was also what we did with them was it was like a live stream, and then we had we basically, like, for the live, like, took it into the metaverse, like, so it was like in person people interviewing, and then we had like a cut to this like digital influencer, essentially, like, within a metaverse environment. And then, that was just, like, super cool. I think, like, those types of, like, innovation, like, just seeing, like, how your audience responds is very cool. And, like, the response that we got on that was amazing. Like, people were so, like, excited about that, about the possibilities there. So I think that's definitely one. But I mean, there's, like, so many people in the space that I really respect and I think are doing a really great job. Like, I think, what Target's doing is very interesting. They've really invested quite a lot into this. Macy's, I think, is a really great example, actually, as well. They've done a really good job of supporting their vendors in terms of going live, which I think is quite smart as well, empowering essentially their network of brands to use this technology. So I think people are starting to catch it, and I think it's so exciting to be a part of it.
Agreed. Well, I still have so many questions, and I'm so sorry to the viewers that we're not going to have time to get to Q&A, but because Chris, I think, are we
I'm like the Oscars playoff music.
Yeah.
Yes, that is me. Wah, wah, wah. Well, see, this is funny. So this is the difference, Kristen. When you're on with a friend, it goes like, like you could just chat away. Like I could have talked to Brian for another hour. So totally get where you're coming from. But it's been wonderful to have you on today, Wyatt. Very, very exciting emerging platform. Live shopping is such an exciting place to be. Obviously, we have an audience full of hundreds of brand marketers sitting here today. Really, the whole purpose of why we do this is to connect great brands to emerging tech, emerging companies like yours. Tell everybody here the best way for them to engage their brand in Bambuser.
Yeah, I mean, shoot me an email, Wyatt at Bamboozler. Happy to chat with anyone and everyone as a follow-up. But, our website also has so many great case studies, examples. It really, our team has done an amazing job of just kind of explaining what we do, how we do it, and then how you get started with us. So, you really can't go wrong. I'll also plug that bamboozer.academy as a great way for you to start to. There'll be more content there in terms of how to get started with live shopping. That first one came out today. So super excited for all the things that we're doing in terms of that educational space and leveraging that expertise that we've developed over time and then starting to share that out. But also I want to thank y'all for putting this together. I think I'm so excited about some of the stuff that y'all are working on at Influential. That tech that y'all put together was absolutely amazing. And I think you're positioning yourselves as like helping your brands to explore this space. We absolutely need people like you who have that vision and have that know-how to be able to activate within live shopping. And so thank you so much for bringing us all together. I think maybe one day we'll have some of these live shopping summits in person as well. But
yes, definitely.
Until then, this like little industry, it's so fun to be able to connect across the board. And it's really amazing to be able to hear what everyone's working on here in this space, because there's so much happening and just y'all putting this together for us to kind of get a glimpse into these different worlds. So it's been so helpful. So really appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much, Wyatt. And the good news about it is that it's such an exciting space. There's no way that we couldn't come back around to talking about this again. So rest assured, within 6 months to a year, we will have another one of these and we will invite you back because you're a phenomenal guest.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll chat later.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Wyatt. Thanks, Kristen. Great job.